Hello and welcome to another edition of Ambient Talkie, a show where we dive into some weird and wacky equipment and wonderful, call it whatever you want, music. I'm Andy from tworoundrobins, and I hope you're ready for a bit of birdsong. So, as some of you may know, I've been working on a script of my own for probably around a year now, and I can finally say that today's date marks the official release of messiaen, a Norns script that to me proved extra challenging, but nevertheless has cemented itself as a beautiful experience of learning, meeting new people, and expressing something that I'm sure to remember for a lifetime. So, for those that just want a guide to the script, I'll put a timestamp here so you can just jump over. But before that, I'm just gonna talk a bit about how I made it or how we made it. Let me start off by saying that when I first got my norns, I thought there's no chance in hell I would be able to even touch code. Just because I have never done it before, and I always thought it's near magic, and I still do to this day at some points. But I guess the curiosity got the better of me, and once I have done toying with the idea of making a bird-like delay, I said F it and just started going through the Norse studies. Luckily, this was just around the time when I visited Berlin in order to attend the Habitus workshop, which was basically organized by people from Mano. There I met people that proved very crucial in making this particular script a reality. One of these people was Sono Circuit, the undeniable talent behind MLRE, Concrete, and Streams. So once the script got a bit too complicated for my own comfort and I started losing sleep thinking about solving very basic programming issues, I finally decided to reach out to Sono Circuit for some help, and this then evolved into a joint venture of sorts, with me moving to bird call analysis and transcribing, and basically Sono Circuit taking the bulk of the backend. With numerous coding sessions that often lasted till late hours in the night, I gained a lot of additional knowledge learning from Sono Circuit, and I really must insist that messiaen would not be here if it wasn't for the support and hell of a lot of legwork coming from this person. So, to which I'm very grateful. So, a gigantic shout out and thank you to Sono Circuit. The script's name is an ode to the famous French composer of contemporary classical music, Olivier Messian. And I might be butchering that name, but I'm just not good at pronouncing French words and names, so I do apologize. But anyways, Olivier was also an amateur ornithologist and would often study birds, and he would record their bird songs and transcribe them to notations. His notable work, Catalogue d'Oiseaux, takes personal bird recordings and transcribes them to solo piano pieces. And I have taken some of his own transcriptions and applied them to some of these bird species that are featured in the script, almost like a little Easter egg of sorts. But now that we talked a bit about messiaen as a script and where the influence came from, let's just jump right into the script and see what it's all about. So let's just jump in. And here we are, greeted with our lovely bird and a bit of atmosphere. And speaking of this atmosphere, this is basically hermit leaves that comes pre-installed on any Norns. So if you haven't deleted it yourself, it's probably on your Norns and you should be able to hear it. However, if you don't or really don't want to hear it, you can always just go to the forest section in the parameters menu and just turn it off. However, I always like a bit of field recordings in my little scripts. So what I do is I'm just gonna load up one. So this is from a little pond trip I did. So this is the dusk chorus. It plays in the background, and I'm just gonna have it in the background as a little extra little sauce into the whole thing. So anyways, the idea here is basically you have a bird. In this case, we have a Eurasian wren. This is a very small, feisty little bird that likes to sing quite a lot. So the idea here is that your bird will be attentive to your playing, and he or she or they will take this little information and they will play it. So there you go. It's basically very simple. It just takes any audio. It just takes any audio, and the more it takes a very, very small part of that audio and then throws it through the soft cut rates, which are basically mimicking this particular species bird song, and it just play around. And if you want to change the species or have some other bird playing, you can do that by moving the encoder one. So now we have European robin, Eurasian blackbird, a chaffinch, a great tit, a greenfinch, and willow warbler. And this basically, as you can see, all of these birds are illustrated by my partner in crime, Maggie, who's an inspiring illustrator, and she took inspiration a lot from old encyclopedias and basically tried to translate that into a very, very small resolution of a Norns screen here. So props to her for that. Now, looking at the birds, of course, you can basically just use any of these that are here. You can make it so it's louder. There we go. And you can also change the mood. So the lower the value, the more smooth it's gonna get, as you will hear. But if you increase the value of the mood, it will be more frisky, more feisty. As you can hear, it has this little rests inside them. But I like to keep it around 40, 37, something like that, just, you know, for the heck of it. And as you can hear, it's a bit sparse when it comes to birdsong, and this is because I envisioned Messiaen to be more of an accompaniment delay or loop player or whatever than, you know, just listening to the birdsong. So if you have something like this, and now it just listens, and it will play in the background. And you can hear how atonal it gets at times. So yeah, now the idea here is basically that, as you can hear, as you can see, this is a threshold based recording system that Sonocircuit made. And basically this is so that Messiaen becomes a performance script. So if you imagine if you have like an acoustic piano or something that's far more dynamically played, or let's say a velocity based keyboard, which this isn't, of course. So you would basically, with velocity or dynamic playing of the instruments, you would choose which of the notes would go through to the bird. So if you would play it louder, the bird would basically take that note and then throw it through the delay. So, and you can change this inside here in the recording, which basically you can change it, let's say, to the threshold is around -12 or minus somewhere around here for acoustic piano works fine. And you know, if you play something that's very soft and then for a note that you want to be sampled within the bird song, you would just play a bit louder and the threshold would take that and then throw that through the delay. So this could be very, very nice. Now, one thing that you can also see on the main screen, or better yet not see if you're not holding this thing, is basically that you can use distance of the bird. So let's say the bird is now way closer to us here. You will hear as soon as... There we go, and we can move the distance further away. And it's very, very quiet in the distance. So this is something else. Also, you can move it to different positions. So now it's center, now it's fairly to the right. There we go. So this is a way how to position the bird if you want to have bird in solo mode. You can also, if for a bit of edutainment, you can do this. You can hold K1, and if you press K3, you get the information of the bird song. So this is just something I added in order for it to be a bit more educational towards a bird song, which basically describes their way of singing in a more, let's say, poetic way. You know, like Eurasian wren here. So although it's small in size, the wren is often very loud, full of trills and long verses with rapid fire bursts. So there's a way how each of these songs have their own way of playing and how they behave. So yeah, I thought this could be like a little fun little thing that you can read, you can use, and you know, it gives a bit of this edutainment kind of thing. Now, this is all cool and dandy if you want to have a bird that's more or less, you know, that's more or less solo, or you can change it. But me and Sonar Circuit wanted to do something a bit better. So what we thought about is a garden. So Messiaen has a garden mode. So what is a garden? Well, imagine this. Imagine if you have a little garden outside. So you go out to drink your lemonade, and you see a couple of birds, and all of these birds basically give you lovely little songs all around. So we wanted to make that a possibility by having having it in the script. So how we do this is basically, if you go back to the parameters menu, you have these visitors here. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna create my own little bird choir. So I'm gonna go with a wren as my main bird, and I'm gonna go to the visitor. I'm gonna use a robin, a great tit, and maybe a willow warbler. And this is basically gonna tell which birds are gonna be visiting the garden. And as you can see, there are gonna be 4 different birds. Now, if I go to, let's just put the summing back to -18, just so it basically takes that. And if we go here, we can do this. We can position the birds manually by going into each visitor, like going here and then maybe position it here and putting the distance here. But we can also do it automatically. So this is something, if you want to have it fairly quickly, you just put that to auto and it will just like basically throw the birds around in the stereo field. And I'm gonna also add the bird activity. Now, what does bird activity do? This is basically, so the bird goes from one side of the garden to the other. So they're basically flying around, they're playing and they're flying around. And I'm gonna put it to, let's say, a little less song density. And if we invite the bird friends, we can hear them in the background. You can hear them. So some of these birds are a bit more up front, some of them are way in the background, and they like to move around. So this is something that, you know, we would make so it's a bit more lifelike. Also, the illustration here is inspired by old adventure video games, so something that's very basic, and you just kind of see, like those text-based adventure games. One more thing regarding how we feed the birds. So there's a bird feeder, and this bird feeder has this way. So it's basically now it's simultaneous. So if I change to a different instrument, so like a little toy piano which has a different timbre, and let's say you hear different timbres, a different timbre in their song. Oh wow, that's so weird. Let's say I'm gonna take the forest out, so now we're only hearing the weird birds. But one more thing that you can do with the birds is basically you can feed them differently. So this is sequential. So it goes in sequence. So one bird first, then the second bird, and so on. So if I take, let's say, an electric piano here, so something that has a different tone, one of the birds is gonna take that exact timbre. It might be a bit difficult to hear because the distance of the bird is rather away, so I'm just gonna bring it up front. Haha, I hear one of them took this electric piano quite well. And as you can see, it just moves, so this is the bird activity working here. Of course, you can have something like, let's say, we can go to meadows, and let's just use something here, and let's just feed them. Maybe even use more random thing now. Let's say, let's put and now it becomes rather weird, but I like it. Maybe even more. It's right in the background, so they're moving quite a lot. Song density, so they're getting a bit friskier now. There we go. So yeah, this is a weird little script that we made, and hopefully some of you are gonna like it. So, Messiaen, a delay of sorts inspired by the beauty of birdsong. During the process of creating this, I've learned a lot, including what magnificent creatures birds truly are. And if you're a Norns user who also happens to love birds, consider giving this script a spin. Also, an extremely important note, I'm hoping of having Messiaen as a community-driven script, where users could create their own transcriptions of birdsong, and with each update, I will feature the user's contributions, and the lovely illustration for your bird will be created by Maggie as well. You can find a guide on how to do it, or how to import your own bird songs on GitHub, which I'll definitely gonna link in the description below. A giant thank you to Sona Circuit for his immense help, and massive chunks of code. Thank you to Maggie for her lovely picturesque contribution to the graphical user interface, the Lines members for their help in the process, and a thank you to all the ornithologists of the world studying these creatures, and to the birds themselves. And last but not least, let's not forget, a thank you goes also to my viewers. So if you like this type of content, be sure to like and subscribe. If you want to support me directly, there is a Patreon link in the description where you can join and get exclusive access to content and sample libraries. But most importantly, do have a great rest of your evening, morning, afternoon, whenever you might be watching, and I'll see you next time. Take care.